Hi everyone, this is Cindy from Ideas Times 2. Welcome back to our channel. Today I have a short tutorial for you today. I'm making this very grungy paper bag journal cover. Last week I did a flip through of two journals that I had in our Etsy shop that used this kind of cover. And a number of people expressed interest in a tutorial, so I thought we would do that today. I'd like to start first by saying that I got this idea from Crafty Cafe Girl. If you haven't checked out her channel, you should. She has lots of really great ideas. Her journals are so wonderful. She definitely has a shabby chic and grungy style, and they're just fantastic. So I would give her a check if you haven't done so already. When I made my journals last week, she had not done a tutorial on making the cover. The day after I did my video, she has done a tutorial. I noticed I have not watched it, and I have not watched it on purpose just because I didn't want to I guess completely steal her method. And so what I'm going to show you today is basically her design, but my method of doing it. But I would check out her video. Maybe she has a better way of doing this. I don't know. But hang with me for the next 30 minutes, and hopefully you'll want to give this a try. So for this journal, what you need is a basic paper bag. I believe this is a 12 by 15 bag, flat bottom. I got these at on Amazon, I think. Maybe a bag of like 50 or 100. I've been using them for the past year for just about everything. Things that I've sold on Etsy, I've put in the bag and tied with jute for packaging. I've used the paper bags to line envelopes for using them in collages. So I've used a ton of them, but I've not used them to make a journal cover. So this is the basic bag. If you don't want to make this grungy, you could start with your bag looking just like this. But I wanted grungy, and so I coffee stained my my paper bag, and this is what it looks like coffee stained. The color's not too much darker. But the texture is different. You can hear it's definitely crinklier. The back is a little darker than the front, but still not too grungy. But if you want a little grunge but not a whole lot, you might want to just coffee stain it. So that's an example of it coffee stained. Here is coffee stained with some Tim Holtz Distress spray stain, and I use Vintage Photo, and that's the color I used for pretty much everything in the journal too. Everything I distressed, I used the Vintage Photo, and so that's what this is, with just a coffee stain and then some spritzing of the Vintage Photo spray stain. And I kind of like this. It's not so grungy that you can't really see anything but brown. It's got lots of different color variations. I kind of like this one. And the last example I have here, this one has been this one was coffee stained and then sprinkled with instant coffee grounds, and then spritzed twice with the Vintage Photo, and on both the inside and on the back side and the front side. So this is the one I'm going to use for today. So I'm going to leave the bag just like this. You might want it to be a little more finished on the inside, and if you would like, you know, give that a trim down the side. I'm going to leave it, and by leaving it, you kind of, this is what you get. You get a big pocket here, a small pocket here, and then a little tuck spot right here. So I'm going to leave it so that I have these options for the inside. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sew, and if you don't have a sewing machine, that's okay. You can still achieve this look by just gluing, and that would be fine too. I just really like the look of sewing, and so that's what I'm going to do. So this is going to be my outside cover. The back of the bag will be the inside cover, and then this will be the front, and then this is the back. Hey there, Lizzie. You can come through. Come on. So to make the pocket on the front, you're going to need to fold your bag over about 3 inches. And 3 inches will give you a book that is 9 inches tall. So a little bit more, or a little bit less. Pull that down just a little bit. And so this is what it'll look like. You're not going to sew anything together yet. First thing we need to sew is this going straight across here. And you don't obviously want to do that when the bag is folded, because then you'll sew your bag together. I'll be honest, I accidentally did about 2 inches of that on one of my covers. I just wasn't thinking. I was rushing and thinking about other things. I've been sick for about the last week and a half, and you know, a little fuzzy headed. So believe me, you don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that now. So I sewed. You can see right here I just did a top stitch. I did a standard zigzag. I really like the look of that. I didn't do any wonky stitching. I just did a straight stitch all the way down. And then I will fold it over. I want my book to be about 6 inches wide, so I'm going to fold it. Fold but not crease at the 6-inch mark. I'm going to keep my spine kind of rounded, and then fold it, and this should be about 3 inches, a little more, 3 1/4 inches here. And that gives us, of course, our cover. And I'm going to then go around and stitch around all four sides. And, you know, obviously, you know, if you don't like a lot of sewing, if you don't want a lot of sewing, you're not going to sew at all. You would just glue, you know, here to here, glue that down there. And then on this side, you know, glue it here to here, glue that down, and then up at the top from here to here, glue that, and then you don't have to do any sewing. If you like the look of the sewing here, but you don't want sewing all the way around, just glue those edges. That's okay too. And I think you have a lot of options. I'm going to sew around all the way around on mine though, all the way around the 4 edges, so that I don't know, stable. I guess I'm doing it for stability, for aesthetics. I just like the look of it. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that now. Okay, that fast and that easy. I just sewed a straight zigzag stitch all the way around. And now I have a book that, when folded over, is about 6 inches by 9 inches and has this nice big pocket here on the outside. And then on the inside has a pocket here, and a tuck spot here. Like I said, if you'd like it a little cleaner, you can, trim this down. And you could even sew this closed if you would like. And have just a big pocket, one big pocket. It is totally up to you. I don't know. I like it. I like tuck spots. I like places to put things and hide things. So that's the basic construction. Because this is made out of paper bag, I worried that when I bound it, it would be a little flimsy. So in the center, I am going to stabilize this with just a piece of cardstock that is about 1 inch wide and about 8 3/4 inches. And I think I'm going to distress it a little bit before I glue it down. So I hope everybody's doing well. The weather here is beautiful today. It's chilly, but it's supposed to warm up and then rain pretty much all week. But right now the weather is just beautiful. I've got windows open, which is kind of sad to say because it's still February. We did not really get winter here in Virginia this year. I miss winter. I love winter. I just kind of rounded this a little bit. I'm not folding it, but I want it to kind of have a little bit of shape. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac to glue that down. I want to make sure there's enough glue on there that the edges don't pop up, but you have to be careful so it doesn't ooze out either. So let's see. I think I'm going to flip it the other way. I think the paper's upside down. So there is my reinforcement, and this pocket's kind of flimsy, so I'm going to do the same thing with that. I'm going to reinforce it just with a piece of cardstock to give it a little visual interest as well as maybe a little more stability. These paper bags, these flat bags, as I'm sure you know if you've done any shopping, are not the sturdiest, but they are pretty awesome for making journals. Like I said earlier, I use them for everything, from packaging to lining to collages. When I bought the bag, I had intended to use it to make covers, but I have always I have more ideas than time. That pesky job gets in the way of my journal making. So that gives this pocket just a little bit more stability. And then when I bind, the two I made last week, and this one as well, this one is going to be a bee journal. I'm going to use eyelets. I have 3 of the dark eyelets, and I'm going to put them, just 3 of them here. And the reason I'm going to do, the reason I'm using eyelets is partly because the bag is so thin that I figured it would keep or lessen the chances of the bag tearing during the binding process. And then I'm going to use jute to bind the book. And so jute is a little bit thicker and a little rougher, and so in order to protect the bag, I thought it would be a good idea. And so I'm going to do this at 1 inch from either end. And I'm going to do it right on the fold, or the curve, and then it's 9 inches, so that the halfway mark would be 4.5, and I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to use the crocodile and go ahead and put the eyelets in. You know, I think if you don't want to use eyelets, I don't think sewing through the paper bag is a problem when it's been reinforced on the inside. This is just my personal preference. If it is not yours, obviously do your own thing, because that's what I think crafting is all about, is adding your own signature, your own twist. So my little scraps off of there. And then for the closure, for the same reason that I use the eyelets here, I'm going to use an eyelet for the closure, and I'm going to use just one, and I'm going to put it on the back at the center mark, so 4.5 inches. And using my crocodile again. And the same reason as using one or using eyelets on the spine, just for reinforcement, to make sure that the bag doesn't tear. So I like the look of it with this really grungy paper bag. I just think these dark eyelets are awesome. So for the closure then, the way I'm going to do this, so here's my signature. It's not ready to be sewn in there yet. I haven't finished it, but I do have all the papers gathered. And I'm going to just take my jute. It's a pretty long piece of jute. It's about almost 6 feet, I think. Because I want it to wrap around a number of times. I'm just going to do a slip knot slip the loop through the eyelet, pull it through, and the eyelet then gives it some stability so it doesn't tear. And then as the closure, I'll wrap it around, and I'm going to add some charms and then just close it off this way. So that's the basic construction of the paper bag journal, super grungy, courtesy of the brain of creative or crafty cafe girl. And the only thing now I have left to do is start decorating. And I've got some of these grungy little cards here. I think I'm going to put one here and then add some kind of collaging. Maybe put one on the back as well. Maybe here. And give some stability, extra stability to the pockets. And on the inside, to give the cover a little more stability, I made a couple of cards. And so that fits right in there. And when it's closed, it's just the right size to go in there. Might have to trim it a little bit depending on the signature once the signature is sewn in. In the back, to add a little bit of stability, I'm going to put one of these back here and cut off the edge. And so that we have a pocket here, and then obviously this will open up, so there's another little pocket. And I think I'm going to sew this. I'll probably put it up here so I can sew it down as well as glue it. And nice and grungy. I have well, you can probably tell my hands are pretty grungy, my nails, and then the back cover, for some stability in that big pocket, I'm going to put this vintage bingo card that I'm going to collage as well. So I've got lots of plans. I need a little bit more time before I finish this up, but that's the basic cover. Pretty simple, right? I hope you give it a try, and I will be back later. We'll maybe make some tags and things to go in this journal, because I've got lots of papers, but so far I don't have a whole lot of stuff made to go inside. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you give this bag a try and share with us the pictures. If you do, we'd love to see what you guys are up to. Have a fantastic week, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.